Marquee Well, the mountains keep, where mining towns lie fast asleep. The cabins moan, the timbers sigh neath silver moon and star-hung sky. A lantern fades, its flame grown cold. The streets still guard what none have told. Full many a soul yet haunts the slopes with broken dreams and buried hopes. The wind, it howls through mining claims. It carries whispers, lost men's names. And ghostly laughter drifts and spills, a dreadful echo from the hills. So hearken, mate, when nightfall nears, and tread with care the town of years, for ere the dawn the dead may speak in Animas Forks, where shadows seek.
This is the ghost town of Animas Forks. 1872, prospectors discover silver. First silver, gold later. You can see the remnants over here of one of the old mines. They build the mine in search of their fortunes. The town kind of grows up around that, and there's so much hope initially. Homes started to go up. Beautiful craftsmanship, like you see here. People really felt like their futures were going to play out here. In 1876, there was record snow accumulations, up to 25 feet. The people that lived here had to actually tunnel from one house to the other in order to trade supplies and communicate. You cannot even begin to imagine what that would have been like. The cost to run the mine was growing exponentially, and what they were producing was decreasing exponentially. And eventually, it just wasn't cost effective anymore to run this place. So by the early 1900s, they started selling off all of the mining equipment, and by the 1920s, the last family moved out of here, officially making this place a ghost town. That is really the extent of what we know about this place. There's not like a lot of folklore, cultural stuff. That's the stuff that I love, the ghost stories, the fun kind of oral tradition. And it just seems like such a missed opportunity to have such a cool town like this and not have some sort of good ghost story to go along with it. And so I decided to take the opportunity to fill in the gap, to write a little folklore of my own. Now, in my mind, folklore is just three things. It's stories rooted in history and fact, gotta have some validity to it. It is then embellished. You know, the fish gets this big, you all know exactly what I'm talking about. And then it withstands the test of time. And so I asked myself, what would it look like if I could write a piece of folklore? And so that's what I did. I want to tell you a story about this place that you've never heard before. That story is called The Greedy Ghost of Animas Forks.
John and I met the night before. Our plan was to spend a few days exploring the San Juans and eventually make our way to the ghost town. The mountains unfolded like a Victorian painting, dramatic, moody, and impossibly beautiful. I've always been an imaginative person. As a kid, I spent most of my time outdoors alone, turning the woods behind my house into a stage for whatever story I was living that day. Driving through this alpine wilderness, I felt that same creative spark return. The setting was too evocative to ignore, practically demanded a story. And so, what follows is a piece of historical fiction, born from the silence of these mountains. Long before his name was whispered in fear, Elias Dimitri was just another prospector chasing glitter in the ground. A drifter from the east with a thick accent and a sharper mind, Elias arrived in Colorado in the early 1870s with nothing but a pack mule, a pickaxe, and a devilish grin. While other men labored in the major mines, Columbus, Gold Prince, Frisco, Elias went off alone, venturing deeper into the mountain where the snow came earlier and stayed longer. He returned from these solitary expeditions with bags that clinked, eyes that gleamed, and lips sealed shut. No one knew exactly how much gold he found, but everyone knew it was more than he ever admitted. By 1876, Animas Forks had grown to a population of 450, with its saloons, post office, hotel, and even a newspaper, the Animas Forks Pioneer. The town had the illusion of permanence, but nature had other plans. Winters here were not simply cold, they were brutal. Avalanches reduced homes to splinters. Only 4 families lived in Animas Forks year-round, and among them, the Duncans stood out. William Duncan, a former snowshoe mail carrier turned investor, built the most elegant house in town, a 2-story clapboard Victorian with bay windows that overlooked the mine. Built in 1879, it weathered storms that crushed lesser homes. From those tall windows, William's wife often watched the hills, scanning for her husband's return, or for someone far less welcome, Elias. He and William Duncan were not friends. Though they were once business partners, rumor had it that Duncan invested in Elias's first solo expedition and received little more than excuses and a single gold nugget in return.
It is a pretty crazy feeling going on some of these shelf roads where, I mean, it's one lane. You got to look for a little kick out to let people by. And if you start going down the edge, you will not survive. You know, it just makes me realize how much we trust these trucks. You know, the brake systems in them, engines. I did a video a while back with a guy named Rusty Kuhn, and he's a pilot. And you guys may have seen that one. It's where he took his plane out, landed in the field, and we camped together. It was pretty cool. One of the sequences he was flying, and he made this comment, and he said, nowhere to land, so hopefully the engine didn't go out. And I was just like, dude, you put a lot of trust in that engine. But then when we're driving shelf roads like this, you know, and they're steep, and we're hitting that brake pedal, we're banking on the truck, we're braking. You know, same thing.
The town was low on supplies. The Columbus mine had closed for the season, the newspaper had stopped printing, in the saloon, men drank whiskey by candlelight, the windows frostbitten from the inside. It was there, on a night where loneliness mingled with liquor, that Elias opened his mouth a bit too wide. I don't need the mine, he slurred, swaying near the fire. I've got my own, my real claim. And gold, boys. Gold more than you'll ever see. At first there was laughter, then silence. You hoarding gold while the town starves, one man said. You could have saved us, another growled. They beat him bloody right there in the saloon and dragged him through the snow to the jail. No more than a shack with bars, and locked him inside. For 32 days, they fed him gruel and promises. "Tell us where the gold is," Duncan said, "and we'll let you go. You can leave this mountain forever." But Elias said nothing. Finally, on the 33rd day, he changed his mind. "Fine," he whispered through cracked lips. "It's under the black pine. North slope. Dig at dawn." John and I arrived at Animas Forks. There's something in the air here. It doesn't feel right. We found a spot to set up camp at the base of the town. Tonight, we would sleep at the feet of ghosts. We're going to see if John can cook tacos. That's insane. Found a base camp just down the road from Animas Forks. In fact, from here, when the sun was up, I could still see the jail cell. Super eerie. And I'm kind of in my head on this one. Watching a little Venture to Rome, drinking a little Yellowstone whiskey, trying not to be freaked out. So I'm going to finish this cell phone video update and get back to this video because it's weird out here. The town stirred with urgency. Men grabbed shovels and torches. In the frenzy, no one noticed the deputy had failed to bolt the cell door. When they reached the black pine, they found only snow. And behind them, the jail sat empty. Elias was gone. Tracks in the snow led northeast up toward a jagged ridge no one ventured past in the winter. Some said he fled to a mine he had dug himself, deep on the side of the mountain. Others swore they saw him standing on the edge of the cliff, laughing into the storm. Then came the rumble. A distant, hollow thunder that shook the valley. Was it an avalanche? A mine collapse? I never knew. Neither Elias nor his gold was ever seen again. By the early 1900s, the people left. The mines dried up, the storms kept coming. Animas Forks became what it is today, a shell of dreams once dreamed. But the mountain never forgot. Even now, winter visitors report strange sounds. Bootsteps crunching in fresh snow, chains rattling near the old jailhouse, laughter, low, mocking, riding the wind past the Duncan house. And on some bitter nights, a figure appears beneath the bay window, staring up, frost gathering on a shadowed face. So if you find yourself in Animas Forks after snowfall, the wind begins to howl, listen closely. You just might hear him, the greedy ghost of Animas Forks.